Greetings. This is the story of an ancient astronaut and his name is Rab. It was with the help of psychiatric therapy that a well-known contact with UFO Betty and Barney Hills was investigated. The Hills saw a UFO and lost some time, but they managed to weaken the significance of these events so that they could live their daily lives. However, a few months later, both began to see nightmares or feel anxiety attacks. The psychiatrist, to whom they applied for help, often applied regressive hypnosis. He worked separately with each spouse and, to his surprise, found that at the request to return to the source of the violation, both Betty and Barney Hill were told that they were taken aboard the UFO, conducted medical research, and then returned to their car. Over the years, Don and I have investigated several interesting cases. Perhaps one person's descriptions will be enough to demonstrate the most outstanding oddities that are usually associated with what Dr. Hynek calls close contacts of the third kind. In January of 1977, just 18 hours after the eyewitness's contact with the UFO, we were invited by our mutual friend hypnologist Lawrence Ellison. Lawrence met with the mother of an eyewitness who was very worried about her son. We appointed a meeting with a witness at the age of 19 who worked as a truck driver. He saw a ship about 12 meters long and 3 meters high, the color of the setting sun, flying at a low altitude of about 30 meters. The ship was so bright that it hurt the boy's eyes, and yet he could not look away. He was afraid and lost the feeling of controlling the car. When the young man was directly under the ship suddenly increased speed and disappeared. When he returned home, his mother was shocked because his eyes were bloodshot. He managed to fix the loss of time because he knew exactly the time of the end of the television program and the time of arrival home. He lost about 40 minutes. To find the lost time, the young man wanted to try regressive hypnosis. We agreed, and after a rather long introduction into the state of hypnosis, the state of the desired concentration was reached. The witness returned at the time when he was directly under the UFO. Suddenly he was inside the ship, in a round room that looked at least twice as tall as the ship looked outside. He saw 3 objects, none of them looked like a human. One was black, the second red, and the third white. They all looked like cars. It seemed to him that each object had a personality, although no one talked to the young man, and was subjected to physical examination. When the study was over, the 3 cars merged into one and disappeared. The ship jumped and quickly shook, then the witness was in the car. One of the most famous aspects of close contact was the following. Our witness understood what the aliens think and feel, although no one spoke to him. Telepathic contact has long been the subject of numerous studies. And, despite the existence of many interesting studies, there is no teaching that confirms good telepathic contact. Therefore, the study of telepathy is still on the periphery of psychic research. However, anyone who has ever known that the phone is going to ring now, or what the other person is going to say before the conversation, felt at least a soft degree of telepathy. Don established that telepathic contacts between him and Uri Geller were very successful. And because they consciously occurred without scrupulous scientific control, they were not included in any orthodox message. In our opinion, scrupulous control has a debilitating effect on the result of any research of this kind. We are still striving to insert an epithet questionable before the word telepathic communication with aliens, because we know well, there is no way to prove this basic concept. However, the phenomenon, of course, exists, and this fact is confirmed by millions of our records of words and many millions of words in the records of other groups. Regardless of the more than frequent disappointments that arise as a result of studies of paranormal phenomena, a serious UFO researcher should be persistent in studying the phenomena associated with them. For example, such as bending metal objects, physics, discussed by the extraterrestrial Rab, and dealing with the true nature of reality, considers the possibility of acting at a distance as a function of the mind, and specifically of the will. Uri Geller was investigated in several places around the world, including the research laboratory in Stanford. Scientist Don Elkins, when studying mental phenomena, there is an unchanging question. How does the paranormal phenomenon occur? The answer can be found in the field of the occult theory concerning the existence of different plans. According to occult philosophy, after death, the individual is at one of the levels of existence, and the level of stay depends on the spiritual nature or development of man at the time of death. The cliché associated with this theory is this: the birds of the heavens gather in flocks. When in our reality a ghost materializes to visit the earth, it usually comes from one of the levels. In general, there is a theory that the planet is a kind of spiritual purification, and reincarnation into the physical world occurs until an individual develops in the spiritual sense enough to achieve higher planes of existence, that is, when he no longer needs lessons development on the planet. Much of this theory developed as a result of contact and communication with the inhabitants of these supposedly separate realities. I came to the conclusion that these levels penetrate into our physical space and coexist, although they do not realize each other. A simple analogy, which I used earlier, is this: imagine two actors in two different television programs received by the same TV, but the broadcasts are separated from each other. It seems that this is what we encounter every day. One channel or the density of existence does not know about the existence of many entities that live in other frequencies of our physical space. Hence the conclusion: our reality is not the only existing reality. In fact, it's just our present reality. Many reports on UFOs demonstrate clear evidence that the observed object comes with one of the other realities or densities, like a materialized ghost. I would like to emphasize, this does not mean that they are not real. The reality of the UFO is different from ours. Similarly, the fourth television channel is the same, but it is separated from the third channel, although this is the same television. If you were asked to build a scale model of any atom, using something that was the size of a pea as a core, you would need a stadium-sized area to represent even the electron orbits closest to the nucleus. If a pea is placed in the center of an imaginary line, 46 kilometers long, a small ball placed at the end of this line would represent the electron of the atom. In fact, in physical matter there is very little matter itself. When you look at the stars in the night sky, you see something similar to how you would stand on the core of any solid material atom and look outward at the environment. To demonstrate the electron, a physicist would show a curved trajectory on a photographic plate. But what he would not say to you: this is just an indirect evidence. No one has ever seen the electron itself, only its influence on a dense medium is recorded. For one who is not familiar with the inner workings of modern science, it may seem that modern man has perceived the environment and controls it. Nothing can be further from the truth. Leading scholars who study advanced modern theories are constantly arguing with each other. As soon as theory begins to gain wide acceptance as a reliable representation of physical laws, someone discovers an inaccuracy, and the theory either is modified or completely discarded. Perhaps the best example is Newton's equation F equals ma. It acquired the status of a physical law before it was recognized as erroneous. Not that this equation was not very useful, we used it to design everything from a television tube to space rockets. But its accuracy disappears when the equation is applied to accelerators of atomic particles, such as the cyclotron. In order to accurately predict the trajectory of particles, it is necessary to perform a correction taking into account the theory of relativity formulated by Einstein. It is interesting to note that this correction is based on the fact that the speed of light does not depend on its source. If Newton penetrated deeper into the laws of motion, he would make a correction of relativity himself, and then declare that speed correction would not matter, since the speed of light is much greater than any other speed accessible to man. This would be true in Newton's time, but not at the present time. We are still thinking about the speed of light as a fantastic and inaccessible quantity, but with the realization of spaceflight, a new order of velocities is achieved. We should change our thinking by changing the usual terrestrial conceptions of velocities. Instead of thinking about the speed of light in terms of kilometers per second, think about it in terms of Earth's diameters per second. almost unimaginable 300,000 kilometers per second will turn into completely represented 23 diameters of the Earth per second. Or we can think of the speed of light in terms of the diameter of our solar system, and say that the speed of light is about 2 such diameters per day. The assertion of Einstein, that everything is relative, has become a cliché of our culture. Let us extend the relativity to the consideration of the dimensions of natural phenomena in comparison with the magnitude of our galaxy. If you look at the night sky, you will see that almost all visible stars are in our galaxy. Each of the stars is a sun, similar to ours. Calculating the ratio of the number of suns in our galaxy to the number of people on the planet Earth shows that one inhabitant of the Earth has 60 suns. To reach the nearest star, light will take more than 4 Earth years. To reach the farthest star in our galaxy, light will need 100,000 light years. These calculations are based on the assumption that light has a speed. In the light of the new theory, this assumption may be erroneous, but since the speed of light is a useful measurement tool, we still use it. So, we have a creation in which we are, and which is so great, that at a speed of 23 diameters of the Earth per second we will need 100 years to cross our backyard. This is a large courtyard. It seems huge even for the most ambitious star architects. But, in truth, the whole galaxy with an uncountable number of stars, over 200 billion stars, is just a grain of sand on a large beach. There are countless trillions of galaxies similar to ours, each with its billions of stars scattered in what appears to be an infinite space. When you think about the incredible breadth of creation and the infantile state of our knowledge of it, you begin to feel that the modern scientific approach to exploring the breadth of creation is as primitive as a canoe dug out of a log. The most difficult problem of science has always been the search for a satisfactory explanation of what is called action at a distance. In other words, everyone knows if you throw something, it falls, but no one knows why. Many know that electric charges are attracted to each other or repelled from each other, even if they are separated in a vacuum, but no one knows why. Although these phenomena differ from each other, the equation describing the force of interaction is the same. For gravity. For electrostatic interactions, the force of attraction between our planet and the sun is described by the equation of gravity. The attractive force between rotating electrons is described by the electrostatic interaction equation. Each of these equations was derived experimentally. They are in no way related to each other, and yet both describe a situation in which the force of attraction decreases in inverse proportion to the square of the distance. The mathematical notion of action at a distance is called a field, such as a gravitational or electric field. The most important hope of Einstein was to find a general equation that would unite both electrical and gravitational phenomena. In fact, it would unite all physics in the general field theory. He believed that all physical phenomena evolved from a single source, and that the creation has a common order. General field theory, which describes matter as a pure field, already exists. It seems that the whole situation is similar to the solution of a huge Chinese puzzle. And if among the many incorrect keys you can find the right key, the puzzle is easily solved. Dewey B. Larson found a solution to this problem. The puzzle was not only solved, but also opened an elegant, adequate general field theory, rich in practical results. And like in a good Chinese puzzle, the solution was not difficult, but unexpected. Instead of 5 dimensions, Larson proposed 6, designating them as 3 dimensions of space and 3 dimensions of time. He suggested that, like the 3 coordinates of space that are habitually observed, there are 3 coordinates of time. As a result, based on the basic postulate of Larson's theory, it is possible to calculate any physical quantity in our physical universe, from subatomic to stellar. This long-awaited general field theory is completely different, because we are used to thinking of time as a one-dimensional phenomenon, as a flow moving in one direction. But as soon as we abandon this way of thinking, it is much easier to deal mathematically with the time coordinates. Professor Frank Meir of the University of Wisconsin is currently circulating among scholars interested in the theory of Larson the bulletins describing the study of embarrassing positions in physical theory using the Larson approach. I was interested in testing the theory of Larson, and, using his postulate, I carried out exhaustive calculations. I was convinced that his theory was in fact a working general field theory. In the early 60s, even before the discovery of Larson, I thought about several interesting statements obtained as a result of contact with a source located in a UFO. Although the people who received these messages knew nothing about the problems of modern physics, they received information that was basic to the physical theory. First, they said that the main problem of our science is that it does not realize enough measurements. Second, they said that light does not move, it simply is. Instead of the usual 4 dimensions, Larson's theory postulates 6, and reveals a pure field, which, according to Einstein, is matter moving outside from all points of space with unit velocity, or with the speed of light. Protons are created due to the vibrational arrangement in space-time, the field of the field. Moreover, contactees said that consciousness creates vibration, and this vibration is light. In Larson's theory, vibrational distributions of the space of time are the first physical manifestation, photon, or light. According to contactees with UFOs, to enter our heavens, the UFO lowers its vibrations. According to Larson's postulate, the entire physical universe depends on the speed of vibration and the quantized rotations of the pure field of time-space. The contactors were told that the time is not at all like we think about it. Larson suggested the same thing. It was said that UFOs are moving in time, just as we are moving in space. In the field of Larson time-space this would be quite natural. And, finally, most importantly, the communicators were given a message. The creation is simple. Everything is one. Larson's theory is a mathematical confirmation of this unity. For more information about Larson's physics, contact the International Community of Unified Science by a group of scientists and philosophers promoting Larson's theory. What physics was never considered to be worth researching is now being studied with ever-increasing speed. Action at a distance as a result of a kind of mental activity is now a constantly observed phenomenon. After Uri Geller acted on television and mentally bent the metal objects and hands of the clock, there were many children who tried to repeat the tricks of Uri. Sometimes they succeeded. The number of children at will bending and breaking metal and other objects is growing every day. As already mentioned, John Taylor, a professor of mathematics at King's College, in his book of Superma reported many experiments with several of such gifted children. If the number of such children increases, then the fiction of television series will become a part of reality. With repeated controlled experiments like those conducted by Taylor and the research laboratory at Stanford in the United States, we will begin to obtain data suitable for study. Gradually, we can begin to create the science of magic, for what has been called magic for centuries is now carried out mainly by children, and with ever-increasing speed. In the future, we will even add magic to the course of the sciences studied at universities. Kala, one of the most important concepts of the learning system, that emerged from the study of messages from contactees with UFOs, is the concept of the immortality of individual consciousness. The immortality of the soul is one of the mystical traditions that has come down to us from biblical times. Street. Paul in the letters in the New Testament shares the human physical and spiritual bodies. Long before the time of Street, Paul, the Egyptian priests had a concept of Ka. They argued that Ka or spiritual personality exists after death, and is the true repository of the essence of the consciousness of a person living a physical life. Undoubtedly, the Egyptians elaborated a classification for the description of life after death. If life after death is considered a probability, then it can be considered as a probability and a life before birth. Any mother who has more than one child will confirm the undeniable fact that every child comes to life or incarnation with the already established individuality, which cannot be explained solely by the environment or heredity. After considering and discarding all these factors, the unique individuality with which the child was born remains. Each child has fears that are inexplicable from the point of view of the parents. For example, a child may be afraid of a thunderstorm. However, the rest of the family feels comfortable during a thunderstorm. Another child can be extraordinarily gifted in playing on some musical instrument, while neither parents nor other relatives have any musical talents. This leads to the need for serious consideration of reincarnation. According to the messages of the UFO, reincarnation is one of the most important concepts that should be understood, since for the evolution of humanity this is how the universe functions. It seems that evolution is a transformation not only physical, but also metaphysical, reincarnates not only the body, but also the spirit. In this philosophical system, reincarnation is the ability of the individual to continue evolution through numerous and diverse experiments. Despite the fact that 2/3 of the world's population are familiar with the religious system that recognizes reincarnations, or share it, the Judeo-Christian culture is not familiar with this concept. Nevertheless, it seems that the early studies of the dawn indicate that reincarnation is possible, and that reincarnations contain situations, relationships, and lessons that are much easier to understand in light of the knowledge of previous incarnations. Here is one example of what some call karma. In this life, a boy who wished to remain anonymous experienced such a strong allergy to all life that he could not cut grass, sniff flowers, or during flowering plants could not spend much time outside the house. With hypnotic regression, he recalled in detail a long life in England. Then he was a hermit and avoided contact with any human being. He inherited a large estate and spent all his life there. His only pleasure was the garden. In it, he grew all kinds of flowers, fruits, and vegetables. After discussion with the boy in a trance, his previous life, the hypnotherapist Lawrence Allison asked that he often make the patient contact what Allison called the higher self. The doctor wanted the boy to ask his higher self, did he learn the lesson to put on the first place all living things and then everything else? Higher I answered that the lesson was learned. Then the hypnotherapist asked the boy to ask if it is possible to cure the allergy, as the lesson is learned and the allergy is no longer needed. Higher I agreed. Then the hypnotherapist carefully led the boy out of the trance and walked to the piano on which the magnolia stood. As the magnolia blossomed, she dumped the pollen on the polished surface of the piano. Gathering a handful of pollen, the hypnotherapist approached the boy and intentionally blew it directly into his nose. "What are you doing?" exclaimed the boy. "You know what an allergy I have." "Really?" answered the doctor. "I do not see that you had a cold." So the boy was cured of allergies. When we try to consider our relationship with the universe, we begin to see that there is more in common between heaven and earth than most philosophers dreamed of. The universe is incredibly large, and if we want to establish a true relationship with it, we should see more of what we encounter in everyday life. In the raw material, most of the information discusses our true relationship with the universe. In this case, it is good to understand that we have a long tradition of working with what can be called a magical personality. Of course, magic is a misunderstood and used term, often meaning the art of showing tricks or illusions. When someone sees a magician, he thinks he sees skillfully executed tricks. However, there is a doctrine of the so-called magical personality, which presupposes the existence of a kind of thread passing through everyday life. This thread can be grasped, and with its help from time to time removed into the framework of the basic points from which we see reality from the position of the spiritual body, from the point of view of the personality that exists from the incarnation to the incarnation, which undoubtedly existed before the appearance of the world. Working on the awakening of the magical personality by immersing oneself, by taking responsibility for what is happening, by scrupulously analyzing the reactions to everything that happens, balancing them with everything that happens, so that the actions on the environment come from within, rather than as simple reactions to external stimuli. We strengthen the magical personality. And we do this until we can master art at will to create changes in consciousness. This is the classic definition of magic. Every time when a person finds himself in an unfavorable situation, and reacts to it, not giving anger to wrath for the sake of anger or sadness for the sake of sadness, and offering compassion and convenience that no one expected. He strengthens the thread of inner strength and more lives a life closely related to evolution of the universe. It is the wholeness or organic nature of the universe that informs the UFO studying about the purpose of their stay here. According to numerous evidences, they were in the near-Earth space for thousands of years. In the annals of all stories, including the Bible, along with other strange phenomena, UFOs are mentioned. Today's flash of interest in UFOs coincides with the appearance of the historical testimony of Kenneth Arnold at Mount Rainier in Washington. Another historical evidence of a very reliable source coincides with the testimony of Don Elkins. That's why I chose Mantle's case for discussion. Thomas Mantle was a military pilot, flew to Africa, Europe and took part in the landing of Allied forces on the Atlantic coast of Europe. On the 7th day of January 1948, at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the Kentucky police called Fort Knox and informed the military police that they are observing a round flying object moving with a large speed. The military police called the commander at Fort Knox. While negotiations were underway, the flight service contacted Ohio to find out whether any experimental aircraft had been launched from there. They did not launch any launches. In the meantime, a disc-shaped object was already observed from the tower, visually and on radar, and a report was prepared, which was quickly transferred to the commander. From the tower, gave the radar vector and the corridor to the UFO. The pilot saw the object and reported that he was flying slower than he and that his plane was approaching the object. Mantle told the tower that now the object is directly above it. It is metal and huge in size. None of the aircraft was equipped with oxygen masks. Therefore, the rest of the pilots dropped to a safe height. Mantle continued to rise. These were the last talks with Mantle. A few minutes later the phone rang, announced that one of the planes had crashed. It was Mantell's plane. The pilot's body lay near the wreckage of the plane. There is a book published by the Center for the Study of UFOs in Evanston, Illinois, describing the numerous physical consequences left by UFOs, soil irradiation, soil composition change and so on. The computers of this organization are equipped with a program providing information related to UFOs. We believe that the information itself is important, and not the name of the host. In essence, calling himself Houghton, who has been talking with our group and several other groups for years. The goal of staying here, at least a few UFOs, is to send aid to a country that is poor or affected by the catastrophe, manages them desire to serve. We communicate with the people of the planet Earth many years. At intervals of thousands of years, we communicate with those who seek our help. Many people of this planet have time to communicate with us, because now they understand, and are looking for something beyond the physical illusion, which for many years the thinking of the inhabitants of this planet was involved. The process that we stimulate is self-generation, since those wishing to communicate with us, and pass on information, to others are becoming more and more. The recipients themselves can reach a state of thinking and understanding that is sufficiently tuned to our vibration in order to receive messages. My friends, that's how contact works. In order for the essence to receive our messages, it is necessary that it possess a concrete vibration that has arisen as a result of its thinking through group processes greatly accelerated. In the end, this is achieved through meditation. In other words, verbal communication with essence through channels such as this creates a new system of thinking and a desire for spiritual awareness, which increases the vibration of the essence of man. We confederate the planets in the service of the infinite creator. We are sorry that we cannot step on your land and teach those who desire our ministry. But, my friends, like us they said before, it would be wrong to serve those who do not now want our ministry. We fear that we can exert only a slight influence even on those who desire our ministry, for understanding is from within. We can only guide. We can only offer. My friends, we are trying to do this in such a way that the searching individual receives an incentive to adjust the mind inward to a single source of love, and understanding that the Creator is part of us all, part of everything that exists, for everything that exists. We are happy that at this time in the history of your planet you joined us in a great service. For this great time, the Great Transition Period, during which many inhabitants of the Earth will be raised from the state of confusion to a simple understanding of the Creator's love. Hatton talks about the desire to look for something beyond the physical illusion. He convincingly tells us that the members of what Ra often calls the Confederation of Planets in the service of the infinite Creator are considered to be genuine thinking. This is another term for our world, love, which implies something much more. It implies a unity that is so great that we do not regard each other as close friends, brothers, or sisters, but as a creator. We look at each other as a creator. We see one being. This concept is the very core of telepathy. That's what Hatton says about this concept and true thinking. Now I'm in a ship far above your habitat. Now I can keep track of your thoughts. My friends, this may seem to some to be an encroachment on freedom, but I assure you this is not so. Our ability to know the thinking of people on planet Earth does not in any way interfere with your thinking or your activities. We do not consider the knowledge of others' thoughts to be an encroachment upon their freedom, for we regard your thoughts as your own. We view these thoughts as thoughts of the Creator. My friends, you may think that thoughts of a different nature than love and brotherhood cannot be the thoughts created by our Creator. My friends, this is not so. All created thoughts are the thoughts of the Creator. He is everything and everywhere. All the consciousness and the whole thought that exist is the thought of our Creator. An infinite number of its parts have free will, and everyone can create as they choose. All his parts communicate with the whole creation, in his whole and infinite sense. We are not trying to change the thinking of our Creator. We are just trying to convey his ideas to some more isolated parts for their verification and evaluation. My friends, I say isolated parts. What is this, and why do we consider these parts to be isolated? We consider them isolated because, from our point of view, they have chosen the path of distance from the concept, which, in our opinion, permeates most of the parts of the creation known to us. We believe that the man of the planet Earth, in his experiments, isolated his thinking, and separated it from what we are accustomed to in the vast achievements of creation that we experience. My friends, I urge you to remember what we brought to you. Next, when circumstances prevailing and the illusion of your physical existence will drive you in a corner, remember what you learned, and do not forget that you are working hard to get something defined. At any time you will choose to change your needs and desires in the physical, the illusion of being and the creation of the Father. As long as your aspirations lie within the physical illusion, you obey the laws prevailing in this illusion. If you believe that your desires can be changed by applying what you have learned and climbing into the creation of the Infinite One, you will have a great ability to come out of the corners into which puts you in illusion. For those who read these words, concepts may not seem practical, and to an idealistic way of discussing what many would call a new era or era Aquarius, it seems impossible that the whole planet could be so philosophically wrong. We believe that our being is much more advanced, and we doubt that somebody cares about to help us. However, if we look at the heart of the cosmic system of philosophy, we find that it is clear and simple without simplification, more ethical without dogmatism, and more is more informative than it might seem at first glance. Next, Hatton speaks about nature reality, which, in something important, escaped the earthly man. My friends, a man on Earth became very short-sighted in the understanding of creation. He does not realize the true meaning of his simple and beautiful life. He knows that the atmosphere itself, which he breathes, is restored with the help of plant life and supports existence of it, as well as other creatures. And yet the number of those who live on the planet, practicing more in technology than in theology, there is no awareness of the divine plan provided by the Creator for his children to meet their every desire for state of perfection. A man on Earth lost his understanding of what belongs to him by right. My friends, why did this happen? The man has focused his attention on own inventions and machines. He is hypnotized by the play of things and his ideas. His mind, the mind of the child, everything can be restored very quickly, and a person can return to the assessment of reality, and not an illusion created by his mind. My friends, all that is needed for this is that he individually use the evaluation of reality through the process of meditation. For this, the process calms the active conscious mind, which continuously seeks stimuli in illusions, centuries created on the planet Earth. Then he will quickly return to the assessment of reality activity of true creation. This is what the man of the earth should return to, if he wants to know the reality, to a simple thoughts of absolute love, a simple thought of universal unity with all brothers, regardless of how they express themselves, or who they may be, because this is the primary thought of your creator. The creation of the Father, as Hatton calls it, has a very simple nature in which love is the essence of all things and all actions. And yet, the real creation does not find a place in most of our minds, because we live in the everyday atmosphere of what the Confederation often calls an illusion. We are the confederacy of the planets in the service of the infinite creator. Many of your years realized many principles of reality. We are aware of them, because we dedicated ourselves to them, that can make, and people of your planet. With the help of meditation you can reduce the illusion that you are living now, an illusion that creates division, an illusory division, before it is at the very business, a complete illusion. We continue to talk about meditation. Many times we talked with you about reality, love and understanding. And yet, it seems you cannot overcome the illusion. My friends, an illusion is what a person creates on the earth. He creates it against his own desire. But it is useful. It is very useful for those who would like to develop with a very high speed, experiencing and using it, staying in it. Many of us who are now spinning around you would like to have the opportunity that you have, the opportunity to stay in the illusion and use its potential through understanding. This is a way of gaining the spiritual progress that most of our brothers are looking for. I cannot overemphasize the need to understand the nature of the potentials inherent in your illusion. And through introspection and meditation, it should be reacted in such a way that express the thought that we created, the thought of our creator. This was done by the teacher, whom you know as Jesus. This man realized his position. He recognized the illusion. He understood the cause of the potentials within the illusion. And his reaction to the potentials and actions within the illusion was a reaction expressing the thought of the creator, the thought of love. Keep in mind that the illusion you are experiencing surrounds you with the goal of teaching. She can teach you only if you realize that it teaches you. It is said that he performed miracles in a mysterious way. This method may seem mysterious. It is a way of spiritual development. There are many souls experiencing the illusion in which you find yourself, but only a few use it for growth. They do it only on a subconscious level, because they do not use the search for knowledge of the possibilities, how to do it. Once in the physical world, the individual begins to realize the possibilities of using illusion for progress in spiritual growth. He needs to take the next step and use your knowledge to express love and understanding of your creator, regardless of circumstances. As you already know, meditation is always offered as the best way achievement of understanding, spiritual progress, understanding of the nature of illusion and purpose in whose name you are experiencing it. Everyone is involved in an illusion or a game in which, if you want, you can use your consciousness in meditation, so that you can make rapid spiritual growth in your personal evolution. But how do we bring ourselves to the moment in which this process begins, which seems very difficult? My friends, desire is the key to what you get. Such was the plan of the Creator, the plan, according to which all his parts would receive exactly what they want. In your illusion, often it seems that you do not get what you want. However, there are many examples that everything happens exactly so. To make such a statement is paradoxical, as it is paradoxical that the desired results, and yet we affirm that a person, without exception, gets exactly what he wants, that he wants. Perhaps you do not understand your desire. Perhaps understanding is not even as present at a conscious level. Perhaps we should allocate time in meditation to realize your true desire. Because, my friends, there are many more of you, and of all creation. than you acknowledge with your intellectual abilities in the modern illusions. It is very difficult for people on this planet to get rid of the illusion, get rid of the presented advanced knowledge of what they consider to be cause and effect. But the reality is not so. This is an illusion generated by illusion. This is the result of the complexity created by this person. Planet. Join us in freeing your thinking from the difficulties, and be aware, you and all your experiences have made a thought. Become aware of your creator. Realize his desire. And when you know his desire, you will know your own. For you and your creator are one. You are one with all his parts, and, consequently, with all beings in all creation. When you recognize his desire, you will feel it. There will be no more confusion. There will be no more questions. You find out all that you thought about. You will find love, for this is the creator's desire, that all his parts expressed, and felt the love that created you. It is very simple to discover this, in meditation. Neither search in people's intellectual concepts, nor careful planning, or interpretation written or spoken words will not lead you to a simple truth. The messages of the Confederation concentrate on the concept of search and desire, believing that the desire of each entity stands at the head of the angle of its development. They say that free will, the basis of the universe. Each entity is viewed not only as a part of one unity, but also as an absolutely unique part of this unity. The free will of each person is predominant, and Confederation always cares about not interfering in the free will of an individual rights. Their way of communicating with a person on Earth takes shape, based on great care for free will. We do not want to impose on our people our understanding of the truth. This is how we act when we communicate with them directly. Otherwise, we could not help, because our statement of truth would be accepted by many of your people as an immutable truth. We do not. I would like to be accepted for the final expression of the truth of the Creator. I wanted to offer it to you, so that you can accept or reject it on your own will. We understand this as follows. For the spiritual development of all mankind, it is necessary that every person, at a certain stage of development, accepted or rejected what it is necessary for its development. Only in this way does he know the truth of the Creator, the only truth, which is the creation, the truth of the love of creation. Truth must be realized within. It cannot be imposed from the outside. We are trying to stimulate people to seek the truth within them. Our understanding of the principle of our Creator requires that we remained in the shadows, for we cannot serve one individual and at the same time provide a bad service to his neighbor, proving his mind the reality of our existence. Now many on planet Earth does not want to believe or want to have proof of our existence. Exactly for this reason, we consider it necessary to speak with seekers through channels such as this. We consider it necessary to give the seekers what they seek, so that they themselves can evaluate, accept, or reject the thoughts that we bring, and understand the reality of creation, in which we all exist. As soon as there is a desire to receive messages, they become available, and not only from our group, but also from many so-called contactees, or channeling groups around the world. Of course, in the cosmic system of philosophy you will find a little new. These concepts are basic, important and simple. The Confederation has an aim for one of the most great goals of this system of meditation and study, understanding. Now many of your people are looking for a way out of the illusion. We offer to seekers our understanding. We are not trying to say that we have unquestionable wisdom. We assume that the proposed by us has value, because they have passed through the same experiments that, and people of the earth. We believe that there is the most useful direction in the search for ministry. We work with tools such as this to give the seekers insight. Other presences aimed at stimulating the search. Through this process, we hope communicate with all the people of your planet who want such communication. We hope in the near future to communicate with a much larger number of people in your understanding. It is difficult for us to communicate with the people of your planet, because of the mixing of species, but the result will be worth our effort. If we can communicate with many people, we will continue to act as we are now, speaking through instruments such as this one, so long as a significant number of people on your planet do not realize the truth. Through many channels of communication, we continuously strive to deliver to the people of the earth one simple message. We leave them with a simple understanding of everything that is, and this is all love. But understanding, showing the love of the infinite creator, is much easier to achieve with using meditation processes than in any other way. There are important bits of information, and there are not very important pieces. My friends, wisdom is, rather, the lot of loneliness. You should accept this truth, as long as you acquire the burden of wisdom. From wisdom should be cautious, because you know that in a real creation all has power, and that your desire is to learn everything that the goals of this power are directed at. But, friends, believe in what you know and learn. Feed your faith and understanding of meditation. Then you go this way, the more you discover the importance of simple statements. Meditate. Meditation begins as a simple process, but little by little it becomes way of life. Watch the success on your spiritual path. In the messages of contactees it is often said that the state of the mind of the seeker possesses ability to continuously remain in a more pleasant configuration than the mind of those who do not, is involved in the active pursuit of the path of self-discovery and search. However, there are others predictable fruits of the path of meditation and search, attracted the attention of those who transmit these the message. My friends, we must remember that service to others is a service to oneself. Notice, we say, that service is always a service to oneself. There is no similarity between others and oneself. Individuality exists. There is integrity and unity. Therefore, a feeling of negative nature in relation to the sheep that fought off the herd, this is a negative feeling of self and the creator. A negative feeling introduces attempts to serve oneself and the creator, which are always committed by serving others. Shame and shame, as opposed to true ministry that you would perform. It should be remembered that every person is an absolutely free entity, whose independence in no way should be violated, and whose individuality has the same nature as yours. Now for you, only one thing is important: personal preparation for service. You serve everyone, therefore it is necessary to prepare yourself for service. My friends, this is done through meditation. It is difficult to overestimate the importance of meditation. With this technique, you will get answers to all their questions. It's hard to realize, but it's the truth. All your questions can be reduced to a very simple concept, and you can realize it in meditation. Once this is done, you will be ready to serve, as others served, and serve your planet. Follow their lead, give time to meditation. Try to reach out to another person, and take him out of the darkness, the entanglement in which he lives, to the light he wants. Service, which is highly appreciated by the Confederation, is the service of voice channels, trained in groups, such as in Louisville. Confederation has never asserts that her message is unique, and that salvation can be found by listening only to this message. She knows that there are many seekers listening to the message of sources other than Orthodox religion and classical philosophy. Therefore, the Confederation is here to serve by transmitting accessible information, and can perform his ministry through sound channels. There are more people on the planet now than in the past. However, many have become entangled in attempts to find. Now there is a need for many more channels, such as this one, capable of receive messages directly, so that they are heard by many people of this planet. We are trying create a larger number of experienced voice channels that are ready to accept our thoughts. It requires daily meditation. This is all that is required, daily meditation. Of course, it is assumed that during the meditation the intention of contact with us will be expressed. As a person who was part of the meditation group for many years, that individual meditation does not involve trying to contact the sources of the Confederation. Such an attempt is best undertaken in the group, preferably in the group that is available, by at least one experienced receiver. And, as always, are you meditating alone or in group? I strongly recommend some means of customization to the subsequent meditation, was at the highest spiritual level. The setting can be done by any the way that is preferred for the meditator. Prayer, and other chants, reading inspiring writings, or careful visualization of the white light of the Creator. Useful method settings. Reincarnation is the basis of the message of the Confederation. One of the highest fruits meditation and search processes the ability of the seeker to penetrate into what Ra calls the process of unconsciousness, which comes into effect from the moment of our birth in embodiment. This is done so that we can understand the lessons that should be learned in time of incarnation. These lessons always concern how to love better, love more fully, more deeply, with more kindness and understanding. However, each entity has its own individual lessons. My friends, before the incarnation, each of you realize that certain lessons, not learned in the past, will be the goals to achieve in this incarnation. If it seems to you that your incarnation in this illusion was a series of difficulties of one particular kind, then you're almost aware of one of their lessons. As you can see, lessons cannot be avoided. They have to be learned. Moreover, it should be pointed out, resistance to the study of the lesson, which separates you from understanding, often the result of your thinking. Processes of conscious thinking can be destructive, in the sense that they can help to avoid the lesson, that the reality you want to learn. Therefore, when you are approaching the lesson, we advise on the ability to achieve temporary inactivity of conscious analytical processes. Then you can return to the problem with a clearer mentality, ready to learn what you want to learn from this experience, and not avoid what you have come to learn. We know how difficult it is to achieve a meditative state, because they were in your place. We are aware of the specific kind of illusion that you call physical. We advise first meditate as usual, and then try to maintain a semi-meditative state all the time, then to attain such a state of attention, so that destructive impulses cannot hinder your mind, and keep you from learning the lessons that you have come to learn. Understanding all the lessons of love that we have come to learn is the basic concept of what all is one thing. Meditate on the complete unity of yourself and all that you see. Do this more than once and not only in the current circumstances. Do this always and especially in difficult circumstances. For how much you love and feel yourself alone with difficulties, so these circumstances softened. And this is not due to some laws in the physical illusion, but thanks to the law of love, as the body of the spirit, deeply penetrating into the physical body, is higher than physical body, and all the changes that you make with love in the spiritual body, necessarily will be reflected in the physical illusion. My friends, everything is one. Now my voice is the voice of this instrument, my thoughts are its thoughts. Please believe that the vibration that we offer is not a vibration of personality, it is the vibration of the Creator. We are also channels. There is only one voice. In this vibration we consciously affirm that this voice is a voice of the Creator. It's all about simply lifting vibrations that are not they realize the Creator. Everything will gradually come in harmony due to your understanding. Even if the universe remains inhospitable and difficult for others, for you all will not be, so thanks to the help of the Creator's love. From many sources we have heard that we are in the last days of a concrete era evolution. Popular writers of the Christian faith took the book of Revelation and analyzed her. Their conclusion: the days of Armageddon are already close. Scientists have written many books, investigating the probability, the fact that unusual planetary configurations take place, such as, for example, affects Jupiter, and this increases the probability of Earth changes. Other scientists have investigated a lot evidence pointing to the possibility of a pole shift in 2000. Prophets, such as Edgar Casey, gave information related to the ongoing radical changes. And, of course, many are concerned that a man himself can destroy the Earth. We also collected information on the theme of Earth changes on your planet. In your physical illusion there will be a very traumatic time. The physical causes of many phenomena change. Your scientists will spend a lot of time trying fix and describe each of the conditions that cause unhappiness on the physical plane of your planet. What your scientists say will happen and be part of the program predicted all the scriptures of the planet Earth. We are not allowed to interfere in events, and we cannot talk about specific things that will happen, or even when they occur, because these events will be determined by the mind and heart of the peoples of your planet. On planet Earth there is a lot of karma, which should be cleared to change the cycle, and all of it will manifest itself. When and how we cannot say, even if they wanted to, because the rain, wind, and fire will destroy only what you call third density of vibration. You appreciate things because you cannot imagine what it will be like existence in the fourth density. We suggest not to waste time on efforts to maintain the existence in the third density after the vibrational change in the fourth density will be complete. If the spirit of your day of release, you will be given everything you need to appear in the fourth density. Everything will be done with the help of assistance, and you should be aware of them availability. It is very likely that those things with which you identify yourself in the third density, we will speak openly. You will see the valley of the shadow of death. These words were uttered and before, and yet you cling to the physical body and the physical environment, as if yours the spirit is forever chained to them. Can we say that you are not able to find your spirit in your head, in your arms, or in your arms, in the chest, or in the legs, nowhere else, that you can neither take him, nor help him? Yes. Your spirit dwells inside the shell. The shell can be removed, but that's not the point. The spirit does not die. What is the metaphysical meaning of the alleged physical trauma of our planet? The Confederation claims that the planet itself is moving into a new vibration, a new area space and time, which many called the new times, but we cannot enter it until we study the lessons of love that have been chosen for study or not learned in the course of many incarnations. Therefore, the Confederation insists on the importance of the choice of following positive way or not following it. Very soon you will have to make a choice. And all the people of your planet better understand the essence the choice to be made. Many people on your planet will find it hard to understand that this is for the choice because they never considered it. They are too busy everyday activity. Its confusion, its desires are of a very trivial nature to care about understanding the choice that is to be made very soon. Whether they want it or not, understand or not, regardless of any influence, to every person on planet Earth soon it is necessary to make a choice. There is no third. There will be those who choose the path of love and light, and there will be those who will choose the exact opposite. The choice is not made by pronouncing the words, I choose the path of love and light, or I do not choose. Verbal choice means nothing. The choice will be measured by how an individual demonstrates his choice. This choice will be very easy to understand by us, the Confederation planets in service to him. It will be measured by what you call the speed of vibration of the individual. If an individual joins the people who made the choice of love and light, it is necessary that the speed of its vibration be above a certain minimum level. Now a lot of people are close to this minimum level. But thanks to the ongoing conditions of erroneous thinking prevailing on the surface of the planet, they either disappointed, or in some cases even go astray love and understanding. But now a lot of those whose speed of vibration is high enough to easily enter into that the density of vibration in which this planet will soon turn out. Over time, what the Confederation calls harvesting will happen. Such the interpretation of the Day of Judgment differs from the traditional interpretation, in that it is not God who judges us, somewhere outside of us, but God is within us. As a result of harvesting, some will enter a new era of love and light, and will learn lessons in a very positive and beautiful density, as he calls its Confederation. Others will repeat the lessons of the third density and relearn love. Here what is the essence of the Confederation of Hatton about harvesting, and about the purposes of communication of the Confederation with contact groups, nearing harvesting, as you might call it, a harvest of souls, which soon will happen on your planet. From this planet, we try to collect as much as possible a harvest. This is our mission, for we are reapers. In order for our actions to be effective, we try, first, to recreate the state search among the people of this planet who want to search. It would be those who are close to an acceptable level of vibration. Those who are above this level attract our interest less, because they already moved into the next class. Unfortunately, now we cannot help those who are much lower this level. We are trying to increase the relatively small percentage of people who will be removed the path of love and understanding. Even a small percentage of the inhabitants of your planet is a huge number. And our mission, work with groups such as this to spread the information in such a way that it either accepted or rejected as a result of free choice. Information should evaluate in the absence of what the people of your planet call evidence. We do not offer any concrete evidence because people have a way expression. We offer the truth. This is an important function of our mission, to offer the truth without evidence. Then in each case, the motivation will come from within the individual. Only so you can increase the speed of its vibration. Proposal of evidence or suggestion of truth the individual, so as to make him accept the truth, would not have any useful effect on the speed of its vibration. My friends, this is the secret of our approach to your people. Another concept that arose from communicating with suspicious entities with UFO, the concept of wanderers. Usually these are people oriented to the ministry, and, how can it is often difficult for them to fit into the planetary vibrations of the earth. Often they have a feeling that they do not fit into the environment, or do not belong to the earth. At the same time, they have many talents in art, training or have the gift to share a vibration of joy and happiness, which, of course, is not the usual state of the disaffected. This concept is especially interesting to many people who will be attracted to materials wrap, because, according to this material, it will be easily recognized by wanderers, and will be useful. Today, there are many travelers on Earth. Ra proposes a figure of about 65 million. They left other harmonious densities to take on a difficult and dangerous work. Because if the wanderer does not succeed in overcoming the process of unconsciousness, what happens at birth in this density of his or her life on the planet Earth, and if he does not remember the love and light which he intended to share, he will be captured by the illusion of the third density. He will type what is wrongly called karma, and what will delay his return to his native planet before, as long as all that was unbalanced in the third density is not balanced. In 1976, when Don Elkins and I wrote the book Secrets of UFOs, we devoted the concept of the Wanderer's Duck a whole chapter, and used the material collected during the hypnotic regressions of 3 women with whom they were friends at that time. During regression sessions, conducted separately with each woman, they told independent and coordinated the history of their lives on another planet. After the book went to press, we managed to work with the man who women pointed out as part of the experience on another planet. This man, working on master degree in the field of chemical engineering, did not know the details of our research. He only knew that we are engaged in some kind of hypnosis. Don and Lawrence Allison, a hypnotherapist with whom we often worked when he lived in Louisville, sat down with our 4th volunteer and began to explore another world for the 4th time. The information was particularly interesting because the 3 previous regressions were poetic and beautiful, but rarely technical. Our 4th object had another education, and he managed to see things more accurately and in detail. The 4th regression is accurate linked with the stories told by the first 3 objects.